Executive Order Number 106 Series of 2020, an order de-escalating MECQ classification to General Community Quarantine in Iligan City, effective October 1 to 31, 2020. Whereas Article 2, Section 15 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution declares the policy of the state to promote the right to health of the people. Whereas the local chief executive is empowered to exercise general supervision and control consistent with the general welfare for the city and its inhabitants. And he shall carry out emergency measures as may be necessary during and in aftermath of man-made and natural disasters and calamities. Section 455B of RA 7160. Whereas on August 31, 2020, the National Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, in its resolution number 67, series of 2020, placed Iligan City under modified enhanced community quarantine until September 30, 2020, due to the surge in average daily growth rate of COVID-19 cases. Whereas the local Interagency Task Force for Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, Incident Management Team, and the Emergency Operations Center Health Cluster had a joint meeting on September 25, 2020 to assess the current situation for the next risk classification of the city. Whereas, as of September 29, 2020, the city recorded a total of 708 confirmed COVID-19 cases with 40 deaths. The total active cases reached to 127, which includes 28 patients on admission to various hospitals and other medical facilities and 106 persons on isolation to quarantine facilities, most of whom undergoes 14 days quarantine. Recoveries rose from COVID-19 infection rose to 533. Whereas, in spite of this downward trend in recorded cases, our strict monitoring and continued mitigation and containment against COVID-19 local transmission should not be complacent. There is still a need to sustain our relentless effort to contain local transmission in the absence of the availability of vaccines against SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19 virus. Whereas, alongside our continued containment is the ever-compelling need to resuscitate our ailing business climate and to flex again muscles of the affected marginal low-income earners and workers who have been deprived of daily sustenance as they brace against this pandemic crisis. Now, therefore, I, Celso Regencia, City Mayor of Iligan, by virtue of the powers vested in me by law, and with the approval of the National Interagency Task Force, pursuant to Section 2 of Executive Order Number 112, Series of 2020 of President Rodrigo Roa Duterte and the revised Omnibus Guidelines on the implementation of community quarantine in the Philippines, do hereby to de-escalate the MECQ risk classification of Iligan City into the General Community Quarantine, GCQ. General Guidelines on the GCQ implementation. Section 1, Declaration. Iligan City shall be placed under General Community Quarantine for a period of 31 days as is specified under Effectivity clause hereunder. Section 2, Coverage. The GCQ covers entire Iligan City previously placed under the MECQ risk classification per National INEF Resolution 67 Series of 2020. Section 3, Guidelines on the imposition of GCQ in Iligan City. Pursuant to the Omnibus Guidelines on the implementation of community quarantine in the Philippines, with amendments as of July 16, 2020, and the valid provision of EO number 32, the following guidelines shall be observed under General Community Quarantine in Iligan City. 4. Restoration of full operational capacity in government offices of Iligan. Work in the city government of Iligan shall resume at full operational capacity from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. or under such alternative work arrangements as the departments may deem appropriate in accordance with the relevant rules and regulations issued by the Civil Service Commission. Preference for alternative work arrangements shall be afforded to persons who are 60 years old and above, those with immunodeficiency, comorbidities, or other health risks, and pregnant women. For alternative work arrangement, a corresponding work plan and accomplishment must be set up and closely monitored by the immediate supervisor. The department or office shall maintain the designation of COVID-19 manager on respective workplaces or shall exercise due diligence on compliance to minimum public health protocols such as checking body temperature, wearing of the face mask or face shield, hand sanitation, physical distancing, installation of plastic barrier in the workplace, and disinfection of frequently touched surfaces. Should COVID-19 case arise, the manager shall ensure that proper contact tracing and, whenever necessary, disinfection of the workplace is coordinated to the Emergency Operations Center of the City Health for technical assistance. The following city government offices units shall continue to be at full operational capacity: City Health Office, Gregorio Telios Memorial Hospital, City Social Welfare and Development, City Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office, City Environment Management Office, specifically Public Services Division, CMO Tourism, Office Community, Barangay Affairs, CMO Anti-Littering and Clean and Green. Section 5, allowed establishments under operational capacity, unless otherwise amended, the allowable business activities under operational capacity follows that of the Department of Trade and Industry Memorandum Circular Number 20-33, Series of 2020, citing Category 1-4 business establishments or activities pursuant to revised omnibus guidelines on community quarantine dated 22 May 2020, amending for the purpose Memorandum Circular Number 20-22 Series of 2020. The business activities or establishments that are allowed to operate shall comply with the DTI duly supplemental guidelines on workplace prevention and control of COVID-19 dated 14 August 2020 and Joint Memorandum Circular Number 20-04 Series of 2020 by strictly observing safety and health standards in all workplace, aligned with the minimum health standards of the Department of Health and local health protocols as laid down by the city government, such as but not limited to wearing of face masks, face shields, observing physical distancing, and frequent disinfection. Section 6, establishments allowed under operational workforce capacity. Letter A, full operational capacity at 100%. The following business categories are allowed to operate at full capacity to wit: agriculture, forestry, fisheries, manufacturing of essential goods such as letter A, food and beverages, only non-alcoholic drinks. Letter B, essential and hygiene products such as soap, detergents, shampoo and conditioners, diapers, feminine hygiene products, toilet papers, wet wipes and disinfectants. Letter C, medicines and vitamins, medical products such as PPEs, mask, gloves, medical supplies, devices and equipment, including supplies of input packaging and distribution. Letter D, pet food, feeds and fertilizer. Number 3, essential retail, example groceries, markets, convenience stores, drugstores. Food preparation insofar as takeout and delivery services. Water refilling station, laundry services including self-service, public and private hospitals, health, emergency and frontline services such as dialysis centers, chemotherapy centers, and the like. Number 9, other medical, dental, rehabilitation, and optometry clinics, non-aesthetic dermatological clinics, ENT, provided there is a strict observance of infection prevention and control protocols. Provided further that dental procedures shall be limited to emergency cases only, and that the wearing of PPE by dentists and attendants shall be mandatory. Home service therapy for PWD shall be allowed. 10. Logistics service providers, cargo handling, warehousing, tracking, freight, forwarding, and shipping line. 11. Delivery and courier services, whether in-house or outsourced, transporting food, medicine, or other essential goods, including clothing, accessories, hardware, housewares, school and office supplies, as well as pet food and other veterinary products. Number 12, water supply and sanitation services and facilities, including waste disposal services, as well as property management and building utility services. Number 13, establishments engaged in repair and maintenance of machinery and equipment, including those engaged in the repair of computers and household fixtures and equipment. 14, telecommunications companies, example ISP, cable providers, telco, third-party contractors. 15, energy and power companies, including third-party contractors across transmission, distribution, maintenance, retail, exploration, operations, trading and delivery of raw materials. Number 16, gasoline stations. 17, workers accredited by the DOTR to work on utility relocation works and specified limited works across 13 railway projects, including replacement of works for Metro Manila rail transit system. 18, airline and aircraft maintenance. Pilots and crew and employees of aviation schools for purposes of pilots recurrent training for flight proficiency and type rating, using simulator facilities, and ship captains and crew, including shipyard operations and repair. Number 19, public and private construction projects that are essential. Quarantine and isolation facilities for POM and suspect and confirmed COVID-19 patients, facilities for health sector, including those dealing with POM and suspect and confirmed COVID-19 patients. Facilities for construction personnel who perform emergency works, flood control, and other disaster risk reduction and rehabilitation works, sewerage projects, water service facilities projects, and digital works, health facilities. Priority public and private construction projects defined as those that refer to food production, agriculture, fishery, fish port, development, energy, housing, communication, water utilities, manufacturing, and BPO, subject to the guidelines to be issued by the DPWH. Number 20, manufacturing companies and suppliers of equipment or products necessary to perform construction works, such as cement and steel. Business process outsourcing and export-oriented companies, including mining, quarrying without need to set up on-site or near-site accommodation or point-to-point shuttle service. 22, printing presses authorized by the PIR or other appropriate agencies to print official receipts and other accountable forms. 23, media establishments. 24, mining and quarrying. Note, export-oriented to operate at 100%, but domestic at 50%. 25, electronic commerce companies. 26, postal, courier, and delivery services for articles or products other than food, medicine, or other essential goods, including clothing, accessories, hardware, housewares, school, and other supplies, as well as pet food and other veterinary products. 27 real estate activities, including parking space leasing companies. 28 housing services activities such as but not limited to plumbing, roofing, and electrical works. 29 office administrative and office support. Note the 50 to 100% allowed workforce for photocopying, billing, and record keeping services. 30 veterinary activities. 31 security and investigation activities. 32 funeral and embalming services. 33 banks, money transfer services, home shops, microfinance institutions, and credit cooperatives. 34 capital markets. Example, BSP, SIC, PDTC, etc. 35 mall-based government frontline services. 36 rental and leasing activities other than real estate. Example, vehicle rental, equipment rental for permitted sectors. 37 employment activities that involve recruitment and placement for permitted sectors. Letter B, other manufacturing such as beverages, electrical machinery, wood products, furniture, non-metallic products, textiles, wearing apparels, tobacco products, paper and paper products, rubber and plastic products, coke and refined petroleum products, other non-metallic mineral products, computer, electronic and optical products, electrical equipment, machinery and equipment, motor vehicles, trailers and semi-trailers, and other transport equipment. Section 7, the following are the business activities establishments allowed to strictly operate at 15% operational capacity, namely, other financial services, example, money exchange, insurance, reinsurance, lending companies, and non-compulsory pension funding. Legal and accounting, management consultancy activities, architecture and engineering activities, technical testing and analysis, scientific and research development, advertising and market research, computer program such as writing, modifying, testing and supporting software, planning and designing computer systems, information service activities such as data processing and hosting activities and other related activities, publishing and printing services such as printing of newspapers, magazines and other periodicals, books, brochures, manuscript, posters, maps, atlases, advertising catalogs, prospectuses, printing directly onto textiles, plastic, glass, metal, wood, and ceramics. Film, music, and TV production, recruitment and placement agencies for overseas employment, other services such as photography services, fashion, industrial, graphic, and interior design, wholesale and retail trade of motor vehicles, motorcycles and bicycles including their parts and components, repair of motor vehicles, motorcycles and bicycles including vulcanizing shops, battery repair shops, auto repair shops, and car wash. Malls and commercial centers, non-leisure only, subject to guidelines to be issued by the DTI. Other non-leisure wholesale and retail establishments such as dining, restaurants, and cafes are hereby allowed to operate at 30% venue capacity, provided that it allows for social distancing protocols and that such establishments are compliant with the protocols prescribed by DOT or by joint guidelines issued by the DTI, duly DOH as appropriate. Hardware stores, clothing and accessories, bookstores and school and office supply stores, baby or infant care supply stores, pet shops or pet food and pet care supplies, communications and electronic equipment, flowers, jewelry, novelty, antique perfume shops, toy store, but the playgrounds and amusement area are closed, music store, art galleries, ceiling only, firearms and ammunition trading establishment, barber shops and salons allowed from 30 to 40% operational capacity and provided that they are compliant with BPI-issued protocols. All other public and private construction projects subject to strict compliance to the issued construction safety guidelines, for the implementation of infrastructure during the COVID-19 pandemic of the DPWH. Section 8, the following business activities establishments are under skeleton workforce. Hotel and other accommodation establishments only for the following. Letter A, guests with long-term bookings and existing booking accommodations as of 1 May 2020. Letter B, guests who have existing long-term bookings, distressed overseas Filipino workers, and stranded Filipinos on foreign nationals. Letter D, repatriated OFWs in compliance with the approved quarantine protocols. Letter E, non-OFWs who may be required to undergo mandatory facility-based quarantine, and healthcare workers and other employees from exempted establishments. Provided that accommodation establishments may operate only upon the issuance of certificate of authority to operate by the DOT. Provided further that hotel operations shall be limited to provision of basic accommodation services. Ancillary establishment within the premises such as restaurants, cafes, bars, gyms, spas, and the like shall not be allowed to operate or to provide room service. Provided finally that accommodation establishments may prepare, letter A, hot meals for distribution to guests. Letter B, food orders for takeout and delivery. Fitness and sports facilities. Allowed are the outdoor facilities for non-contact sports and other forms of exercise such as walking, jogging, running, biking, golf, swimming, tennis, badminton, equestrian, range shooting, and skateboarding. No sharing of equipment where applicable should be observed. Section 9. The following business establishments activities are not allowed. 1. Internet and computer shops. 2. Other education and educational support establishments such as but not limited to testing centers, tutorial and review centers, language, driving, dance activity, acting, voice schools. Entertainment industries, cinemas, theaters, karaoke bars, etc. Kid amusement industries, libraries, archives, museums, and cultural centers. Tourist destination, water parks, beaches, resorts. Travel agencies, tour operators, reservation service, and related activities. Other personal care services, example, massage parlors, sauna, facial care, waxing, etc. Pet grooming services. And number 10, cockpits, not allowed. Section 10, requirement for inbound travel involving locally stranded individual or LSI, ROF, and stranded APOR. Inbound travel involving locally stranded individuals, returning overseas Filipinos, and stranded authorized person outside residence shall comply with the following requirements in addition to other travel and health documents required. 1. LSI and ROF shall obtain a duly approved certificate of confirmation from their respective barangay. 2. Stranded APOR shall secure the necessary medical certificate and latest swab test result, RT-PCR from the place point of departure upon return to Iligan, and shall also secure certificate of confirmation from respective barangay. Regulations on entry of non-residents from within the regions and other regions. Non-residents within the region entering the city of purposes of procuring essential goods and accessing basic services shall be required to present valid identification card, medical health clearance issued by the authorized government medical doctor. Non-residents from other region with similar purpose shall be required to present medical health clearance and travel authority issued by the authorized government authority from the place of origin. Entry of non-residents for purposes of procuring essential goods and services shall be scheduled twice a week, which shall be on Tuesday and Friday. The allowable period to stay is valid for 1 day, unless entry is related to emergency cases, in which case a valid referral from recognized physician shall be presented. Section 12. Residents leaving and returning to Iligan. Residents of Iligan who leave the city shall be allowed to travel for 1 day. An authorized person outside residence who has an official or indispensable travel shall present a proof official business travel, and upon return beyond the 1 day validity, he shall secure medical certificate issued by the authorized government physician from the place of point of departure. Section 13. Mandatory quarantine pass. Home quarantine pass shall be used when leaving the place of residence to buy food, medicines, or other essential goods, and avail of essential services such as going to hospital, paying bills, other similar activities. Only one household member or his or her alternate household name in the quarantine pass shall be allowed to use. Alternate household member name in the home quarantine pass who accompany the household member may be allowed, provided he or she does not belong to the restricted vulnerable persons and those with high health risks as stated thereof. Section 14. Health risks vulnerable individuals. Any person below 21 years old, those who are 60 years old and above, those with immunodeficiency, comorbidity, or other health risk, and pregnant women, including any person who resides with the aforementioned, shall be required to remain in their residences at all times, except when is indispensable under the circumstances for obtaining essential goods and services, or for work in industries and offices or such other activities permitted in this section. Whenever there is emergency requiring immediate medical attention, wherein other members of the family must accompany, the presentation of quarantine pass may be waived after careful assessment of the urgency. Section 15. Authorized person outside residence, or APO, serving as frontliner within the city is exempted from the home quarantine pass requirement, provided a valid identification card shall be presented. Workers, employees, or neighboring LGUs are deemed APO only for the purpose of reporting to respective workplace. As such, travel shall be limited to 1 day unless a different work schedule or duty shift is adopted as certified by their employers or establishment. Section 16. Mass gathering are prohibited. It is reiterated in the order that mass gathering, such as but not limited to movie screenings, concerts, sporting events, and other entertainment activities, community assemblies, and non-essential work gatherings shall be prohibited. However, gatherings that are essential for the provision of government services or authorized humanitarian activities while adhering to the prescribed minimum public health standard shall be allowed. Religious gatherings shall be limited to not more than 10 persons until otherwise provided through subsequent issuances of National Interagency Task Force. Section 17. Public transportation. Public transportation on road, maritime, and aviation sectors shall operate at a reduced operational capacity in accordance with the guidelines issued by the Department of Transportation, provided that in all public transports, a strict 1 meter distance between passengers shall be observed. The minimum public health standards shall be required to comply, such as wearing of face mask, face shield, and hand sanitation when in contact with frequently touched surfaces. All passengers of land public transportation shall be required to register in the passenger manifest, which shall be submitted by the duly authorized representative of the land transport bus company to the control checkpoints of the city on a per-trip basis. Section 18, Regulation on Consumption of Liquor in Public. Consumption, drinking of liquors or any intoxicating products are prohibited in public places in Iligan City. Section 19, Curfew Hours. The curfew hours in Iligan City shall be from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. Exempted are the workers, night shift, workers employed in government or private offices discharging indispensable services related to security, health, water, energy, social services, sanitation, environment and disaster, government engaged in food delivery services, hospitals, medical laboratories, pharmacies, drugstores, other health services, doctors and dentists, gas station and mass media outlets. Section 20, customary wakes on COVID-19 remains. The holding of customary wake vigil shall not be allowed if the deceased pass away due to confirmed COVID-19 case, as the remains shall be buried within 12 hours per existing guidelines of the Department of Health, and this prohibition also applies whenever the deceased is a COVID-19 suspect and has been swabbed RT-PCR even if the result is pending. Section 21, visits to cemeteries and memorial parks. Visits to open-air memorial parks and cemeteries shall be limited to not more than 10 persons per group. The number of groups allowed at any given time shall be left to the discretion of the management of such memorial parks and cemeteries, taking into consideration the minimum public health standards and social distancing pursuant to INEF Resolution Number 49, dated June 25, 2020. All public and private cemeteries, memorial parks, including crematoriums and the like, shall be closed to visitors from October 29, 2020 to November 4, 2020, pursuant to IATF Resolution Number 72 Series of 2020. Section 22, Barangays, Poroks, Sitios, Zones, Streets under extremely restricted perimeter control, critical areas, granular lockdown. Whenever there is confirmed COVID-19 case present in a particular area which may pose risk in surrounding communities, the area shall be contained or locked down and shall be placed under localized enhanced community quarantine, provided concurrence by the Regional Interagency Task Force is obtained. The following surveillance specific activities shall be conducted during focused containment or granular lockdown. Contact tracing and quarantine on close contacts. Active case finding, syndrome surveillance, systematic sampling and testing in the containment zone, risk communication and communication engagement activities, implementation of program of activities for localized lockdown based on the coordinated operations to the defeat epidemic, including case investigation, contact tracing, quarantine, and managing of cases and reintegration activities. Section 23, role of the barangays. All barangays in Iligan City are required to establish or maintain existing barangay control points for the purposes of carrying out relevant laws, rules, and regulations pertinent to COVID-19 pandemic, provided that no roads, streets shall be closed, obstructed. These shall also establish barangay isolation units, the minimum bed capacity of which shall not be less than 6 bed capacity. In addition, the barangay shall confirm the return of the respective LSI ROF through issuance of certificate confirmation. Section 24, Enforcement COVID-19 related laws, ordinances, and other regulations. Enforcement of COVID-19 related laws, ordinances, and other related regulations shall be implemented on ground by deputized personnel such as barangay officials, PPAT, barangay tanods, civil security unit, market police, anti-littering task force, joint task force Camagong, Philippine National Police, Philippine Army, Army Reservists, and SIMO multi-task force. Section 25, repealing clause. All previous executive orders inconsistent with this order is hereby repealed or modified accordingly. And lastly, Section 26, effectivity. This order shall take effect on October 1, 2020 until October 31, 2020. Done this first day of October 2020 in Iligan City, Philippines. I sign.